31st of October, Media Center of Ukraine. My name is Svetlana Chepurenko, and now we will talk about drones, robotized systems complexes, which Ukrainian Emergency Service uses, how they use it, what tasks these systems perform, and what else the Emergency Service of Ukraine needs in order to be even more effective. We talked today with Ihor Hetalo, head of the Department for Organization of Work and Use of Drones and Robotized Systems in the Emergency Service of Ukraine. So robots, drones, they are integral part of war at the battlefield, and also as a consequence what takes place after the shelling on our civilian cities by the enemy. So robotic technique is being used to remove the debris, to demine territories. So please tell us what the emergency service has, what arsenal of drones, robotized equipment you have, and how you use them. Our department quite young, but over the last year, when we've been working, we already have gained certain experience, and even over a certain short period of time, we managed to integrate our drones systems almost in all our activities. Our systems work on water, underwater, on land, in the air, and even in fire, because our service, as you can see at this slide, we use the usual drones like multi-rotor, and we also use drones like a krilo, or wing, which allow to use them in fire, long-range flight perform, and they allow to transmit, they allow streaming to the drone operator, and so we're using them quite actively for long-range operations. We also have robots on land operating robots. The main direction is extinguishing, fire extinguishing. Robots allow to execute a safe putting out fire in the places where there is that threat of unstable soil or some other collapse, and in these situations we use robots. Also, we use personalized robots in the risks in the area of explosive risks. We also use robots to demine explosives, to eliminate explosives, and also in the occupied territories we use robotic machines which allow to speed up demining process, so that our farmers could gain access to that land as soon as possible. We also use subsurface and water, on the surface water systems, and especially in winter, they allow to reduce time of our our personnel, our aquatic service operators to carry out search underwater. And these systems also allow to simplify just the work, to make the work of our colleagues easier. We have quite a wide range of the systems from different producers, Europeans, and currently we actively try to engage our state producers. So we are actively moving in that direction. How many items of robotic equipment and drones the Emergency Service of Ukraine has? Let's don't say concrete figures, concrete numbers. In terms of drones, our service by 95% is equipped with the demand of our service. By 25% is met in terms of drones. Of course, they break, so we repair them. But in terms of robotic systems, yes, we would like to have them more. Can you give some percentage number? No, I cannot. Okay, I understand. Okay, let's now look into each direction, in what tasks you use them specifically and what kind of equipment. Let's start with our pilotless drones. So for the emergency service of Ukraine, the pilotless systems, crewless systems, they are integral part of any operation. Starting from the basic monitoring ecosystems, and especially in the fire risks, weather, and in the areas where there is a risk of a fire, we send the pilotless system to monitor land from air, which allows us at early stages to reveal wildfire, and to send the rescue extinguishing teams and to quickly eliminate this fire. We also use them to search for lawbreakers who initiate fire when they neglect fire safety procedure, and they burn some woods, some grass. And so we reveal such people with the help of pilotless drones, and we deter them. We also use them in the monitoring, and the pilotless systems allow to have the understanding, the full picture of the event which unfolds on the ground, because the manager standing on land, on the ground, he is unable to estimate the scale of the event. He is unable to quickly understand the area which requires maximum focus of attention, and so using drones, using pilotless systems allows to more effectively channel resources. And also we are trying to integrate our pilotless systems to investigate, to search the objects, because unfortunately after artillery strikes, after bomb strikes, the structures, the building structures are unstable, and so this system, using these pilotless systems, allow to estimate the state of this building after the strike without using a human, because sometimes we have such situation when a human does not respond. A human is in such building after the strike, but there is no connection with this human, and nobody knows the state of this building, the state of the structure, and using the pilotless system allowed to estimate the state of the building, and to manager can understand better whether he can risk his people to let them in this building if there is a risk of collapse of this structure. And we also carrying out special tasks, and for example, one of the last cases is a search of a person in Ivano-Frankivsk, a child in Ivano-Frankivsk. This child was not found for 4 days, but we managed to find him thanks to the drones, and we managed to rescue 12 people, find and rescue 12 people who were lost in a forest area using drones. We also adjusted loudspeaker on the drone, and we turned on children's song through the loudspeaker on a drone which was flying from the air, and so the child understood that that song was actually directed at them, and they were moving to the direction of the loudspeaker. Here you can see the picture on the right, where you can get the understanding of the scale of the fire. And if a person is standing on land, the person is unable to estimate the overall scale of the fire. On the slide on the left, you can see the heat signature from the building. Also, the drone is able to read this heat signature and to transmit this information, and we understand where we need to put additional resources to extinguish, because if we leave earlier, there could be a risk of fire reigniting. It's a great tool, and allowing to standing on land to investigate, to estimate the building, and to carry out search and rescue operations. And the most important case is using drones with heat imagery devices. You can see on these slides the turf, the land with already signs of fire, but there are some certain areas of where the fire still continues, and so using the thermal imagery devices with drones allows to identify the areas where the grass is still on smoke, the land is on smoke, and where the fire still is not extinguished. And using these drones allows us to carry out this reconnaissance investigation of this area and to better localize, identify the area which needs to be extinguished. And also we use more powerful drones which fly on longer range. They allow us to carry out reconnaissance, and also during the fire extinguishing operations, we use aviation, and with the drones we helped to adjust the actions of the aviation. We estimate how effective the water drop was. So these instruments are very helpful in our activity. And also I would like to introduce a small video to your attention. This is event which was take place on the February 14th this year, when the aggressor country hit with drones in the confinement area over Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Of course, the most difficult job was carried out by our rescuers, who every day during this operation risked their life and health, and they worked to extinguish the fire which ignited after the strike. But we used drones which helped to search for thermal localized area where the fire was continuing to burn. And because we didn't have with human means, we couldn't identify under the metal, under the confinement, we were unable to localize, to understand where the fire still is open. And so we used drones to understand where to cut the metal construction and where to put water. So that's the view. Let's watch the video how this operation. Please explain what we see on this video. So the first seconds is basically the enemy drones striking the confinement. Here we see how rescuers, when the rescuers arrived at the scene, at the place after the strike. The most intensive fire was extinguished but unfortunately, under the confinement, the fire started to spread by the perimeter of the confinement, and it was very impossible to extinguish the fire from land. The operation was very difficult and unique because any of the services, of the emergency services in the world, have not been faced with such challenges. But there were certain managerial decisions made and tactical decisions, and we managed to liquidate this fire, this event in the shortest term. There were low temperatures, -17, -18 Celsius degree, and metal and water. But thanks to experience and expertise of our colleagues, we managed to escape most dangerous situation. We understand that aerial imagery helps to coordinate the actions of the rescuers. Yes, exactly. That's how we coordinated the rescuers, because the building is the same, and you don't understand visually, you are incapable to understand what's going on under the confinement. And only with drones we managed to lead our colleagues so that they successfully direct water in the area where this water was needed. As you can see on the screen, there is a thermal imagery which allows to to identify where the fire, where the burning, the fire still continues. And so the event started with the use of the drone and ended with the use of the drone, because every morning when the emergency service operators they went on the position, we first used drones to estimate where the work is needed, and only after the entire work was completed, the drones flew away. Here, as I mentioned, we used also drones to provide lighting to the area. We use also loudspeakers with drones. If we can fix to a drone any additional device and to use them respectively. And here. Here you can see our land and water component. We use also drones as evacuation devices. The main message which I want to deliver: not a single robot can never completely, totally replace the work of a rescuer, but we treat this instrument as a tool in our hands, which allows to make the job of the rescuers easier and to save their health and life. And the first most large-scale case was the case of extinguishing fires, because with war raging in our country, we have to work under condition when there is a risk of additional strike. The enemy neglects all the rules of war. We understand, and everybody knows very well, that after the first strike, in 30, 40 minutes, or after 1 hour, most likely there will be another second drone or a ballistic missile, which the enemy will strike again in the same area. And this strike targets actually the emergency service, medical service operators, emergency service operators. And using these drones allows us to not stop the extinguishing procedure, because sometimes there are such events when it's impossible to stop water supply. There are different situations in our practice, and so using drones allows us to work to liquidate more efficiently. And to make the work of our rescuers easier, because we don't have to hold this drone, and operators usually being somewhere behind the cover or at a safe distance. Operator using drone is capable to extinguish the fire and to coordinate the work of the extinguisher. But in our activity, it's a tool, but in our activity, not a single robot will not replace completely the rescuer hands. Here you can see additional robots. On the right slide, you can see multifunctional robots. As I mentioned before, they allow our deminers, our explosive experts to remove, to deactivate the cluster bombs, because sometimes cluster bombs can explode as a human approaches them, and so using robots allows to safely deactivate cluster bombs. And also on the left, you can see another robot. Unfortunately, we have only one such system now, but we work with our foreign organizations, with foreign partners to acquire more such drones, because this drone allows, at a cluster bomb strikes, allows to remove debris and other fragmentations which block the road for special techniques, preventing special technique to arrive at the seam. So better to use a drone immediately to remove these blockages, to remove debris and fragmentation, the result of the fragmentation. And one of the cases, of the practical cases, when we use this equipment was in Odessa, when there was a flood in Odessa, and this robotized equipment allowed to rescue cars in the underground parking lots, because underground parking lots, they were flooded, and it was impossible to bring a usual evacuator from the parking lot. And thanks to this robot allowed to work in the flooded underground parking. And this robot allowed to rescue the cars from the underground parking quite effectively. Here we can see the use, the practical example of the use. That was a rocket strike on Kyiv, and you can see nobody helping this robot. Operator operates this road from a remote control. It's a very powerful instrument, very powerful robot. It's an irreplaceable tool in our service. Who makes this robot? Austria produces them. What is his lifting capacity? 2 tons, but we actually lifted 4 tons, even though the declared lifting capacity by the manufacturer only 2 tons. I just recently returned from the manufacturer of this robot, and the manufacturer acknowledged that actually the real capacity is 3 times more than the declared one. Because this robot has already Ukrainian citizens, I think he will be able to pull even more. Yes, and this is our water component. I will not focus a lot on this component, but it's also a very useful instrument which allows. We started from simple systems, but currently we have systems which allow us, which are equipped with sonars, with echolocation devices, and also with another tools which even underwater allow to place some double charge, because there are some situations when the explosive is unable, the munition is unable to be pulled from underwater, and in that such a situation, a double charge is placed to eliminate this explosive. Our explosive expert, whenever they can, they try to remove these explosives and to deactivate them at a safe place. But sometimes when it's unable to do, they're unable to do this, they use this system to extinguish them underwater. And also this year, we are trying to use more robots in fire extinguishing robots in cooperation with our national producers, national manufacturers. And currently we have 2 platforms which work at the hottest directions in our country, and they recommended themselves quite well, as opposed to European systems. Our systems, the key factor, their price, and also endurance, because sometimes when the system is too complex, there is a high risk of failure. Our systems are simple and they are more enduring. And also a short plan for several years, definitely increasing. We plan to increase the number of these systems to enlarge the functionality of these systems and to increase the usage in our work. So we're only moving forward. About increasing the number of the systems, how do you plan to achieve it? Do you count on international support, on the state support, or maybe some inter-partner agreements? Currently, we receive most of the systems from our foreign partners, definitely because despite our partners are far away and they don't feel for themselves what the war is, the producers of pilotless complexes of drones, they are interested to test their systems, their products in the territory of Ukraine, and that's why they actively help us, and we develop this cooperation. We have a number of donor companies which allowed us to equip us with all what we need, with all robotized complexes, because not a single robot was purchased with state funds. We rely totally on donors, Germany, France, Austria, and we constantly are looking for some new projects, for some new machine, a new design. We will help producers to test these machines, and at the same time, it's to our benefit. How the decisions are made about a certain situation, about certain objects where the emergency service works, whether to engage the drone or not. What are the parameters? At every fire site, there is a manager, there is a man who has a title, whose position is basically the manager of extinguish operation. And after arriving at the scene, after the initial reconnaissance, this man actually makes decision whether he needs to engage drones for firefighting or they can do without them. For example, whether there is a risk of explosion, whether there is a risk of explosive substances, or whether there is a risk of collapse of building structure. Of course, to use drone to extinguish fire in the block apartment, residential block apartment, but that would not be effective because you need first to raise the drone to the height of the apartment, and you will just waste some time. But when it comes to the industrial complexes, industrial sites, with industrial complexes, we use drones automatically. It all depends on the ground information. For the emergency service, this is a new direction, and so there is a question of training of specialists who, drone operators, engineers. So how many people you've trained already? Currently, we have about 1,500 operators, drone operators. Then also we have a few less operators who work with another systems. Usually, these people operate both types of systems. Also, if we receive the drones from our foreign partners, then first our personnel, our operators, they're being sent to the manufacturing company where they're being trained, and they return and share the knowledge, because unfortunately we cannot send all operators to abroad, and so some group of the operators are being sent, and then they share their experience. So do you have enough such specialists? Currently, all our needs are met. And so how long this training continues? And as I understand, there is a theoretical part and practical part. It all depends on the system. If we speak about usual drones from some new producer, then this training could last for 3 days, because if this person already has a certain basic knowledge. In such case, this person just needs 3 or 4 days just to learn the specific of a specific model. But if we need to train from the blank at the beginner, then it will require several weeks. what kind of drones you need the most, because, as you said, drones from the air, almost all your needs are met. But what in terms of land operating, the drones operating from land? Currently, we require drones, fire extinguishing drones, because probably the main task of our department is for each unit of the emergency service of Ukraine to equip with such firefighting drones. And we also have plans for a new direction, in particular logistics supply, in order to save petrol, to reduce equipment at each large fire, especially if there is a system in ecological system. We need to engage a lot of logistics, starting from drinking water, a supply of drinking water to guys who work somewhere deep in the forest, and ending with a supply of equipment. And so we want to test whether our service really needs to go into this direction next year, because currently the logistics matter is not closed. We have quite a big needs in the logistics, but we will carry out testing in this direction next year. Thank you, Mr. Ihor. And I remember that you were talking about robotized complexes and drones, which the emergency service uses. And Media Center of Ukraine will continue our work at 1400. We will talk about border service of Ukraine and combat services. So stay with us.